Welcome back, folks. It is Jafer, and today we're going to take a look at 3 brand new mouse pads from Esports Tiger. They're definitely not pumping the brakes on new products as of late, and these are definitely really exciting and caught a lot of attention on Twitter. So let's go ahead and dive in on those. And real quick note, Addis did send these out for review, but of course, as you know by now, that had no impact on my impressions or thoughts on the product. So let's go ahead and get in. First, we'll take a look at the GrandMaster SE. It's available in 2 colorways, a gorgeous blue-green gradient and a red and pink offering. We all know by now that the talented folks at Tiger spare no expense when it comes to their designs, and what we have here is the 4 guardians based on Chinese mythology, laid out on a 480 by 400 millimeter size. It is spread out over an SR foam base at 4 millimeters of thickness. The GrandMaster SE is not only an eye catcher, but it's also just extremely comfortable. The stitch edges are small, they're not intrusive like other pads. It's a super tight stitch and it sits just below the surface, leaving no discomfort for any of you arm aimers like myself. It lays flat after right around 20 to 30 minutes, but I can't help but wish that SR foam based pads, they really need to be packaged flat and not rolled up, but I do understand that comes at a much greater cost. The surface used is what Tiger is calling a 3-dimensional weaving technology to optimize high-speed movements with low friction. Basically, we're looking at a treated cloth pad for speed. It feels very consistent after extensive use, which is great to see, but of course only time will tell on its overall longevity, being that it is of a cloth surface. And make no mistake, with it being cloth, this is definitely a speed pad and you will notice it right away. It's really effortless in its glide. It's so smooth that I don't even notice the texture through the mouse, and sometimes you can feel that with certain pads. Not the case here, which is crazy since barehanding the surface, there's obvious threading at the touch. I didn't have any issues coming to a dead stop or coming from a dead stop, so static friction was very minimal. I did have to dial in some adjustments so in game, as I was definitely overshooting well beyond my usual awful aim. However, after the more time I put into it, I quickly noticed how comfortable I was becoming with this pad. And that says a lot for someone who prefers a control-centric pad. If you're looking for a speed pad without venturing into that hybrid Cordura hard pad scene, then this is more likely a safe purchase. From my time with the GrandMaster SE, it's faster than the Lin Yang and other cloth pads that I've used. It is definitely a little slower than, I would say, the Glorious Fire or the Fnatic Dash. Definitely slower than the Odin Infinity. And I would even rank it a little bit slower than the Aqua Control Plus, but this particular GrandMaster SE definitely has more stopping power than that Aqua Control Plus. On the SE, I don't notice any difference on the X and Y as far as performance goes, but when you do rub your hand in those directions, they do have different acoustics and you can almost see the threading. It almost looks like it goes in a diagonal upper right direction, at least on my copy, but it didn't affect my performance in any way. The standard GrandMaster is much less flashy, but it's still appealing in that popular SA Bliss colorway that we see in the keyboard scene. It's using the same surface as the SE, but with a different base. This is actually using that natural rubber base, so it definitely feels a little bit more firm than the SR foam, but of course with a rubber pad, it rolls out flat almost immediately compared to the foam. My biggest takeaway from this is that it won't be as impacted by humidity as much compared to the SE models because this lacks the SR foam. The stitching isn't as comfortable given what I assume the difficulty involving sewing over that natural rubber, so it is raised beyond the surface, but outside of those differences, I didn't experience any performance issues between the 2 models. It really comes down to purely preference on the style, if you want something loud in that Tiger fashion, or you want something a little bit more sleek and mute in the standard GrandMaster, and if you really want to go with a more plush foam, or a little bit more of a dense, firmer rubber. So that does it for me. Hopefully I was able to give you some comparisons on other mouse pads that are really popular out there on the market, and this kind of fits right in the middle, so it's not too much of an extreme pad, whether it be too speedy or too much stopping power for a speed pad. I definitely do like what Esports Tiger continues to do, and I'm excited to see what they're gonna have in the future. But my god, let's get some desk mat sizes, because while the 480 by 400 is really a comfortable and safe size, I like something that's just taking up my desk. But maybe that's just me. But other than that, I'm Jafer. I do appreciate you watching. If you did like, please throw a like, and of course hit that subscription button if you do enjoy the content. Until next time, stay safe.